welcome. My name is Monica Poe, and I'm the marketing manager here at weavix. I'm excited to be with you for another episode of our new video series, The Thread. If you haven't had a chance to go back and watch previous episodes, be sure to go back and watch them for all things weavix. During this episode, we're going to actually go into how weavix enhances safety in the workplace. weavix has a specialized product built specifically for safety crews called Protect. Protect is a universal safety solution with features that both address and advance safety efforts no matter any enterprise's goal. So to talk about Protect, I have our Chief Product Officer, Ben Burrus, here with me today. Ben has previously been on the thread to talk about communication. So Ben, it's great to have you on the thread again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm really looking forward to the conversation today. So I wanted to start out by asking, safer work environments benefit everyone from the individual worker to the company as a whole. So why is it essential for companies to focus on their safety departments?
Well, I think the obvious first answer is to keep their workforce safe. And what that means is we realize every worker is a person. Every worker has a family to go home to, and every person matters. So when we look at safety, especially in industrial, manufacturing, warehousing, kind of the deskless worker market, we really want to focus on making sure that those people go home to their families. And not only that, a safer work environment will help retention and recruitment. People want to feel safe. They want to feel like the company cares about them. And also, there's financial implications. Avoiding recordables, OSHA recordables, incidents, avoiding injuries that can stop work have a big impact on the bottom line. So, not just focusing on the humanitarian aspect of it. These are people, these are human beings, but also making sure that the operation keeps running efficiently.
Well, it sounds like enterprises are kind of already doing a lot of great things in the safety department, just like when you hear through the news and such. So can you go into a few of the initiatives and how they are currently being executed in the workplace?
Yeah, so there's a couple that come to mind when you talk about safety. The first is mustering or emergency mustering. So if there's an incident in one of these facilities, take a chemical plant, take an ammonia leak, for instance. That's a pretty big issue. Hopefully that'll never happen, but we always need to be prepared. So in the event of a leak, there'll be muster areas throughout the facility, and basically what a muster area is, it's a predefined, almost geofence, a predefined area. A lot of times it's a parking lot, maybe a corner of a field, something like that. And these companies will put people through training. So when you come on site, either as an employee or a visitor, you have to take what's called a site-specific training. And that is basically showing the visitor or the employee, hey, in case of an emergency, here are the muster areas. They're defined. Here's what you do. And a lot of times they'll use physical access cards. So think about like RFID cards you use to get into office buildings. They'll have a check-in station there for mustering. So the workers will scan their badge, basically saying, look, I'm at this muster area. And then that gives safety the ability to kind of look and see, okay, who's all accounted for? Who's all here? And those are the more advanced customers. We actually have customers as well that do it manually. So the foreman is actually responsible for on a tablet accounting for all of their workers, and it kind of goes up the chain, kind of like a phone tree a little bit. So those are kind of the two things we see for mustering today. And in order to muster, the other thing, from a safety standpoint, we want to talk about is mass notification systems or MNS systems. So in order to muster, you actually have to reach out to these workers and get their attention to say, we do have an issue. Here's the ammonia leak example. Here's where the cloud is going. Here's the wind direction. We need everybody to go to this muster point. And so they usually have systems kind of like when we were in grade school. They've got PA systems that ring bells and they flash lights and communicate that way that are, in all of the buildings and also throughout the facility. So, mass alerting, mass notifications, and mustering are two really big initiatives that these facilities have.
So muster seems pretty important, making sure everyone made it back safe. But the current process seems pretty archaic how they're doing it. So how does weavix, improve upon that?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, these companies have done a really good job, and you know, if we look at it, they're safe, right? The companies do a very good job of keeping their workforce safe. But like you said, it is a little bit archaic in that it's a manual process. It's not passive. You know, one of the key things of weavix, one of our really core value statements is that we are a system of truth, which means we don't have to have a human do something in order to make our system work. It's all what we call passive or in the background. So one of the really nice things about weavix and our mustering system is once you have a Walt Smart Radio on all of your workforce, you now gather data around those people, and we can draw geofences in these mustering areas. And basically what we can do is bubble up dashboards of real-time data for your safety and rescue team so they can see in real time who has mustered, who hasn't mustered, you know, where are workers throughout the facility that haven't mustered. You can instantly see them. And then tying into our smart radio product, you can then radio them directly to figure out where they are, what they're doing, if they're okay. You can look at telemetrics from the radio to see, did they throw the radio down and just run? Are they still wearing it? What type of a person is this? Is this a heavier person? Do I need to send a different rescue team? Where are they in the plant? So, you know, being passive and giving all that data so that people don't have to actually badge in. It's an emergency situation. Emotions are going to be high. We don't want people to have to remember to go badge in. They just need to go to their mustering area, and we need to be able to provide that real-time data to the rescue teams.
Okay, so then another point that you hit on was the alerts to let people know they need to go muster or such. So it seems the current alert processes are pretty vague, you know, just with the PA system or sirens. It sounds like they have to remember what hits there, what hits there. But so what options are available within the weavix system?
Yeah, you know, mustering is really interesting. I mentioned the site-specific training before. I go to, you know, a lot of different customer sites. I have the opportunity to see a lot of different deployments and take a lot of those site-specific trainings. And every site is different the way they do their alarms. You know, they'll use a series of high and low-pitched tones, Westminster chimes, all sorts of different kind of systems and sounds to alert people. And for a transient workforce, contractors that are moving from site to site, which is fairly common, it can be a little bit confusing and a little bit, you know, not consistent on what those mean. And the other thing is, you know, if you're in a pressure vessel grinding and you have earplugs in, how are you going to hear that? I mean, hopefully you have a confined space attendant, but at the same point in time, you know, how do we make sure we've reached everybody? How do we make sure that they've gotten that? How do we acknowledge and have that two-way communication of, yes, I've sent out an alert and my people have acknowledged it and now they're mustering? How do we do all that? And again, now that every worker is connected through our Walt Smart Radios or through the weavix platform, we can have that direct, you know, two-way communication to those workers. So, you know, we don't want to replace the mass notification systems, but we want to enhance them. So yes, you're going to have your sirens. Yes, you're going to have your intercoms. That's all really great. But now you can actually, you know, integrate the weavix system into that to go to the actual user on their person and alert them. And, you know, they can basically acknowledge that alert, letting safety know, yes, you know, Monica has gotten the alert. Monica has acknowledged the alert, and I can see her moving to that muster area. So it all kind of ties in really nicely together.
Okay, and so then what type of alerts, can you give examples, because of kind of targeted as well as just kind of tiered?
Sure. Yeah, so we have 3 different types of alerts within our mass notification system. We have informational alerts, and those are going to be more, for instance, hey, everybody, the north parking lot's closed tomorrow. Everybody needs to park in the south contractor lot. It's something that you want to get out to your whole workforce, but you probably don't want to alarm them. It's not an emergency. It's more of an informational alert. That's a really nice feature. The second level is called our warning alerts. It's a step up above that, but not quite an emergency. So a good example of that would be maybe a lightning alert, a lightning warning. Hey, lightning struck within 10 miles. You know, be aware. Overhead lifts, for instance. Hey, we're doing an overhead lift in this area. Be aware. Things like that. And the third is our warning or danger alert. And those are things like the ammonia leak we mentioned earlier. Active shooters. We do a lot with hospitality and education around active shooters. Just things like that where it is an emergency and you need to get immediate attention. The walt's going to make a heck of a lot of noise. The phones are going to blow up. You're not going to miss it. And then again, you get that kind of two-way, yes, I sent the alert, and now I have an acknowledgement from my workforce that they've received that alert.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Ben, thank you for all that information. So it's vital for companies to continually improve on their safety procedures and processes. And I really think weavix has kind of thought of that from the individual worker to the safety crew to the enterprise as a whole. So again, if you would like to hear more from Ben, you can connect with him on LinkedIn if you previously haven't from other episodes of The Thread. But weavix is also on LinkedIn as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find all of our social media handles down in the video description. And if you want to be notified of when the next episode of The Thread will air, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.